Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of Streaming Without a Paddle. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew.
And I'm the other half of your host, Ted.
Ted? Somebody's knocking on the door.
I know.
Knock at the cabin.
Knock at the cabin.
Knock at the cabin.
A young gay couple with their adopted daughter go out to the woods to a secluded cabin to have, a weekend or a week. We don't really know the time frame of away from everything. And all of a sudden, a big, huge, giant man walks up and starts talking to the little girl. And he is friendly with her and kind. And then we notice 3 other people walking around in the woods.
And the little girl's like 6 years old.
Yeah, the little girl's 6 years old. And he befriends them. And then he goes up and he tells them he needs to come in. They start to take up weapons and things. But eventually they get in and they inform them that one of them has to willingly kill one of the other 3 to prevent the apocalypse. That's the storyline. And we think they are, I guess the M. Night Shyamalan of this whole thing is that we think you don't ever know if they're telling you the truth or they're doomsday prepper or what do you call it, conspiracy theorists. They've all had the same dream. You don't know if they're conspiracy theorists because these things are happening, but they can also be explained. Like, what did they say the first thing was? Tsunamis. Yeah. And there's a huge earthquake off the coast of Oregon, and there's like a massive tsunami that comes into Oregon. Yeah. And then the next one is that things will fall from the sky, metal will fall from the sky, or glass. I think they say glass. Glass will fall from the sky. What happens is there's an airplane malfunction and over 400 airplanes crash.
Actually, I think the second one was plague.
Oh yeah, plague, and all these school children start getting the flu.
Represented by Nashville on the show.
Yeah,
we had in this movie we had a huge outbreak just south of Nashville.
Yeah.
Nobody pulled that from the news.
Yeah.
Williamson County, south of Nashville, first case of COVID.
Yep.
There you go.
And so it's like a coincidence thing, and they keep saying they can explain it, and then the airplanes crash, and I don't remember what the last one was.
That was last. Fire from the skies.
Fire from the skies.
But and it was lightning.
It was lightning. That's it.
It was lightning. Lightning storms everywhere.
Lightning storms.
Everything on fire.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, we're kind of explaining the whole movie to you, but to be honest with you, like, it's a hard C. I mean, unless you're really into these movies.
We're jumping right into the rating.
No, I'm just saying, like, I enjoyed this movie. I don't ever want to watch it again. You remember, what did we watch where I was like, there's nothing that really sticks with me, but I enjoyed it. What was that?
Well, so you can't even remember. Murder Mystery 2.
Murder Mystery 2, that's it. This was like a horror version of that.
Here's where I am. I'm going to give the opening scene. Okay? It's not a spoiler anyway. But I tell you what, it was probably the most terrifying 5 minutes of my life to have this movie open up this way. Little 6-year-old girl out in the woods field area gathering grasshoppers and naming them. Got a little notebook. It's so sweet. And then Dave Bautista.
Giant man.
Walks up and starts talking to her. And I mean, and the way the lines were delivered, the dialogue, I mean, you just felt like this little girl was she was nearing her end. You just felt it. I mean, I was just like, my mind is in this place, this horrible, horrible place. This movie's opening up with Dave Bautista character killing this little girl.
He was great. He was great in this movie. She was great. The little girl was great.
Yeah. I got her name right here. Kristen Cui, I think.
Okay.
Probably win. Yeah, the little girl.
I feel like all the acting was solid in this movie.
Yeah, I tell you who stood out to me was actually Abby Quinn, who played Adriane, I think was the character's name. The cook.
Yeah, she was great. Cook.
She brought it. I mean, every time she delivered a line,
It was great.
It was. It was amazing.
You know why?
Why?
Because she went to Carnegie Mellon.
Oh, did she?
Really good school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She did. I mean, she delivered it, and it delivered on point. Her action, her delivery complemented the dialogue.
Yeah. This movie is meant to make you question the entire time if these people are telling the truth or this is just happenstance. That's the whole point of this movie.
Ted, my problem with this movie was it was so unrealistic. And I'm not talking about the apocalyptic nature of it. One of you must die to save the world and all that. It was the execution of it, in the sense of these four strangers show up at this cabin out in the middle of nowhere to inform this couple, well, two guys and the little girl, that one of them must die to save the world. And they're doing it by nonviolent threats against themselves.
Yeah, they kill themselves.
Against themselves.
If they have,
which you don't see, which I'm very glad. You
Right.
don't see it.
They have an opportunity.
They could have gotten in the car.
Yeah.
And they could have driven to civilization and showed this to them. Instead, they slash all the tires on their car, on their vehicle. Mm-hmm. And hey, if you don't kill one of each other here to save the world, we're going to kill ourselves. That is not how you deliver an ultimatum. You know, you really don't. You get them outside and let the airplanes fall from the skies and let them visually see it. Don't keep them tied to a chair in the middle of the living room.
It's true.
I mean,
I need to read the book.
Which, by the way, I forget the title of the actual book, but it says in the title of the actual book to save the world. Or something to that effect. Not just a knock at a cabin.
I think it's a knock at a cabin door to save the world.
Yeah, well, they lost the door because it's knock at the cabin. Knock at the cabin. Anyway, all right.
It won all sorts of awards as a sci-fi book, so I gotta be like, what did you do to make this seem so average?
Yeah.
M. Night.
I think this is my first exposure to M. Night work. I can't, I mean, I've probably seen something, but not directly from him.
Well, you've seen The Sixth Sense.
Okay. Yeah. All right. But when this came out, one of my children came in and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe M. Night, I can't even pronounce his last name, is directing this movie. I just can't believe it. This is going to be so wild. And I'm like, what? You know? Mm-hmm. It was wild. They got that part right.
Wild and average.
Yeah. You know, again, just because there was such a disconnect with reality in this movie of what a rational thinking person would do, I just couldn't get into it. But
I see. I can watch a horror movie and be like, rational thinking.
It's not a horror movie, though, is it?
It's a sci-fi.
Yeah, because you know,
I mean, it's a sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
because in all actuality, there's no such thing as visions you have in dreams that turn into plagues. Well, and different things. I don't think so.
Yeah,
not to comment on anyone's religious beliefs. I'm saying I don't. Even if you go to church, I do not think that you believe most of the time that you're going to have a vision and a dream and that's all going to come true. And it also speaks to the point of the whole point of the book and the movie is to question those things, I think. I haven't read the book. I'm going to read the book now. But I mean, the thing is, like, they don't answer if it was by coincidence or they don't answer it. So it's just up to the audience to figure out, well, is this really happening, or did we really stop it, or was this really going to kill everyone, or is this just, global warming?
Well, see, I got the feeling at the end of the movie that it was real and it did stop.
Did you? Okay, so I got the feeling that it was
I did.
Not clear.
I was like, well, I'm skirting being a spoiler here.
Yeah, don't give that one away.
Yeah, I mean, but the very, very end.
Mm-hmm. When they drove off.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we're not saying who drove off. We're just saying when they drove off.
Well,
they went to the diner.
I know the difference in the book.
And the diner was airing. All of a sudden, this stuff stopped.
Yeah, okay. I guess I see your point. I thought it was not clear. I thought
like
the point was
planes
that-
are landing again. You know, the metal, the lightning has just stopped.
400 planes to crash. Can you imagine what kind of crazy things would happen in our world?
The reality of it. I mean, even if you wanted to accept that as truth, how is that happening?
Yeah, I guess
how is that?
They're like, the guidance systems on planes are all that. I get it. I can
see how the tsunamis would, happen. The Earth is cracking, and volcanoes are erupting and creating these tsunamis, and the lightning from the sky, the plague. I can see those things. But the airplanes just falling out of the sky, and they when they fell in nosedive spirals. Did you know
they didn't just crash like that.
Yeah, they didn't come gliding in.
I'm not an engineer. Here's a question though. If we have any listeners that are fly, when a plane crashes and the engines go out, you still can glide it.
Hey, ask Sully. He landed on the Hudson.
That's what I'm saying. You can still guide your plane down.
He lost all his engines, and he landed that plane on the Hudson. And it floated long enough for everybody to get out of it. So,
yeah, it floated for like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean...
The biggest problem was they were trying not to get hypothermia.
So...
Because it was like 30 degrees.
It did glide in. It just didn't... Oh, we've lost power. Fasten your seatbelts. Oh, never mind. It's just going to go into a big spiral. We're going to hit the ground. That's not what happens. That's just not.
It happened.
And again, the reality of this show for me was just so unfathomable, because again, when the four of them got there are so many different ways to prove their point than tying them up and making them watch you kill yourself.
Yeah. I agree with you.
You don't believe me? Oh, okay. I'm killing myself. Thanks.
In exceptionally violently gross ways, but they don't show it.
Yeah. All right. So Rupert Grint is in this from Harry Potter.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad his stint was short.
Yeah.
Because he provided the worst performance, I thought.
Oh, he was horrid.
It was.
He was bad.
I was like...
You know what? Sometimes you're a child actor, and you're good as a child, and that's it. Yeah. Sometimes you're not Daniel Radcliffe, and you end up being a good adult.
All right, so I'm going to backtrack real quick here, because we had this conversation months ago. John Cena,
yeah,
versus Dave Bautista as an actor. Now that our minds have been refreshed about Dave Bautista's ability outside of the MCU.
Dave Bautista is...
Because he dropped it, man.
He's a better...
I was scared.
He's a better dramatic actor than Cena. But Cena... And he's funny, but he's not as funny as Cena. Cena has a little more comedic timing.
I loved him in this movie.
Yeah, Bautista's great.
His acting, I was scared every time he opened his mouth up.
I think it's really interesting to choose, he's a second grade teacher, to choose a 6'3", 255-pound man.
You know what scares me is his head.
It's so giant.
That and the wrinkles up there. Yeah. He's like a Shar-Pei.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that to his face, but I'm sure he's been told that before. Seriously, he should Botox up there and get those, smooth it out.
He's great. I think he's a phenomenal actor, but I think Cena has got that comedic timing like The Rock.
You know what? I was thinking after a couple of weeks ago when we discussed, what was it? Die Hard, and Cena's in it, and he shows his nether regions in that movie. I'm thinking back to all the John Cena movies. There's always something to do with that area of the body with him. When he was in what was his solo series there, superhero Peacemaker. His costume was a big phallic symbol.
Well, if you were so he was a bodybuilder before he was a wrestler. If you look like that dude, you should take your shirt off and pants off at all points and times.
Yeah, but he's pushing the thing. Anyway, I'm going to walk away. I just thought it was funny that it's repetitive in his performances. There's a phallic.
Let's put our
reference.
penis in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
I mean, seriously, it's just repeated. But anyway, all right. I did not like this movie. Let's talk numbers. Let's talk. On a horror movie.
You got to rate it differently.
This was, horror movie, as far as horror goes, this was real easy. This was, everything was implied, and it was suspenseful writing and acting, and there wasn't somebody carrying an axe, wielding it and slashing people in the way of that kind of horror movie. Stranger Things had tougher
horror scenes.
Yeah, than this movie did. But the suspense of the dialogue and the action was just top notch. So easy to watch from a horror movie standpoint. And because I'm not a horror fan, I would give this a B as a horror movie. Because I don't like horror movies. I don't like Jason and sorry, I just don't. I don't like that stuff. Children of the Corn? No.
You're just aging yourself with these references.
That was one scary ass movie. Pardon my language. Children of the Corn.
Oh man,
I
never got into it. I have a friend that was in part 5 though. He's coming to my wedding.
I watched part 1.
Yeah,
and that was all I ever watched.
I would say this movie is a strong B. It's entertaining
from a horror standpoint.
From a normal standpoint, it's a very, very, very hard C.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a D.
Really?
Overall, yeah.
Okay, because
it just again, I can't grasp my thought process away from or ungrasp my thought process away from the fact that there were so many unrealistic moments in this movie. It just, let's tie them up in a chair in a living room in a cabin out in the middle of nowhere and tell them that if they don't kill one of themselves, the world's going to come to an end.
I got you.
There's a better way of conveying that message.
I'm going to let my brain have movie magic. I'm going to let my brain go to movie magic.
Woo! Somebody stood above this with a big bucket of movie magic dust.
I would give this a 71.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this overall movie viewing entertainment. This is a 65.
Okay,
65,
71.
Yeah, but in the genre of horror, it's a B. If you're a horror person, watch it.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
if you like horror, watch it. It's got good suspense.
It is. Oh, and Bautista,
beast.
Boom, Bautista. I like that. He could have used that when he was in the WWE.
That's right.
The Bautista. All right. Okay, Ted. I got to get back to something light though after watching that.
Okay.
That first 5 minutes will drive you nuts.
We'll get something light next.
Yeah, we'll have to. All right, guys. I want to thank you once again for tuning in, listening, watching on YouTube, streaming without a paddle. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Ted.
Till next week.
Bye-bye.